Alright, what is going on, Rulebreakers? We are here live on YouTube for a special afternoon edition of React After Raw. We were supposed to be live at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, but our equipment was sabotaged by Nick the Cena fan. That little bastard is still trying to get us, but we are here now to review Raw with you here on React. So let me introduce the panel for you today. We have the one and only Matt Donato. What's going on, brother?
Oh man, I'm excited. I'm pumped to get into this thing. Let's get this on the road. Let's go.
Alrighty, and we have Randy Hill. Randy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm ready to get this going, man.
Alrighty, you heard it from Randy. Aussie can't join us today. He's booked elsewhere today, so we will you guys will see him this week on the Sharpshoot. So look out for that coming this week. So yeah, let's jump right into this Monday Night Raw here. We all watched it, caught up on it. Definitely better than last week's Raw. A lot better than last week's Raw. I mean, if you watched the show last week here on React, we were all thoroughly disappointed in the job WWE did regarding last week's Raw. But this week was a lot better. They opened the show with Jericho versus Wyatt, and I don't know if you guys caught it, but they billed it as Michael Cole mentioned as the final time. Kind of confused me because there were those rumors that their final match was going to take place at Night of Champions. So I don't know if Jericho decided to take other commitments with Fozzy and decided to take off earlier, but they billed it as the final time between Jericho and Wyatt. Um, Definitely a lot better than their match at SummerSlam. I don't know whether you guys agree with me or not, but the chemistry was there, the trust was there. Definitely love when Jericho did that crossbody off the top of the cage. It's amazing to me that after all these years and what he's proved, he's still willing to really take the risks and put the young talent over. And if that was their final match, I mean, they went out with a bang. They went out with a high note. Really, that big finish at the end, Sister Abigail, Bray escaping the cage the way he did. I mean, I think it was a good way to kick off Raw. Matt, what do you think?
I completely agree. Yeah, awesome match. I'm with you on that. Way better than SummerSlam. Way better than Money in the Bank. My only question though with this match is, yes, it was great, but what's the point? Who gains out of this? You know, I guess you could say Bray Wyatt goes over again, but is it necessary? Because he already went over at SummerSlam, which is like the biggest pay-per-view of the summer. So does beating him on a Monday Night Raw make him any bigger than he already was? I mean, maybe it solidifies the fact that he can beat Jericho, but I just don't see the overall gain.
Right.
With that being said, not trying to be too negative, it was definitely one a hell of a match and a hell of a way to kick off Monday Night Raw this week. But that also leads to the question, like you said, there's rumors that they're going to face each other at Night of Champions. I'm wondering if people are just throwing that out there because of this match on Raw. They're just assuming that that's what's going to happen. I don't see that happening. It just wouldn't make sense. It's completely unnecessary for them to have another match again.
I agree.
To be their fourth match overall. I think.
Especially when Cole announced that this was the final time. So I mean, I agree with
Right.
you there.
So he announced that it's not going to happen at Night of Champions. But this makes me wonder, is Jericho done? Will Jericho wrestle at Night of Champions? I mean, it won't be against Wyatt, but we saw that segment with Randy Orton. And I've felt since the highlight reel that they were setting up for a Jericho Randy Orton match for Night of Champions. But now I'm not sure if Orton attacking him from behind was their way to allow him to leave for the next however long before he comes back again to do another 3 months. But overall, awesome opening to a pretty awesome Monday Night Raw, in my opinion.
All right, you heard it from Matt. Randy, your thoughts on that opening segment, opening match?
I honestly thought it was awesome. They couldn't have done it any better than that. Was honestly getting really sick of the authority promos at the very beginning of the show, and the fact that they opened it up with the steel cage match was really, really awesome in my opinion. It really did show how their feud, how they're trying to keep it alive, if you want to say that. Uh, I really did enjoy it, though. The fact that the Sister Abigail, after the match, that was pretty sweet, in my opinion. The only thing I have to say about that is, I like what's going to happen now for Jericho, because I mean, like, I think that was basically the end of that feud. If you agree with me on that, I really do think that that's the end of that one. Uh, I don't see them taking that to Night of Champions because obviously, Randy Orton attacked him after that entire segment. I mean, it could have been just taking him off the show for the fact that he can go back to Fozzy to do some more live shows or something like that. But, I mean, I really don't see him being at Night of Champions, but it's very possible. Just have to wait and see.
Definitely, I definitely agree with you there. It's going to be a interesting situation with Jericho. We got some rope breakers weighing in on YouTube. We have LOTR King 369. I'm guessing that means Lord of the Ring King. Maybe I'm wrong. You could tell me if I'm wrong. He says, I feel like Jericho is still pretty rusty. The match was quite slow for me. Only bit that really made me go, whoa, was the crossbody off the cage. And we have Aaron Mason, the newest column writer for RopeBreakWrestling.com. If you have not checked out his articles, be sure to jump on the website and do that. And he says, I second that. Yeah, not bad opinions from the Rope Breakers. Yeah, maybe it was a little slow, but it was definitely interesting. It definitely was more of a build to the big finish kind of match, and I think that's what they kind of wanted to do with that match. So, good opinions from the Rope Breakers there. After
I would
that, we
like to
had
just
interject. Go ahead. No, it's fine.
uh, I would like to just quickly interject to the Lord's name is. I get where you're coming from, but I don't necessarily agree that because it was slow. Traditionalist, I love mat wrestling. I enjoy that. So the slow build is something I always look forward to, and it bothers me when fans today, throw away a match just because they couldn't keep their attention there. The match had a nice slow build. There was a great story involved, and it sucks that fans today can't see that. Wrong for your opinion. I mean, you're completely entitled to it. If you didn't like it, you didn't like it. But like, a lot of fans today can't sit through a match like that. And that's a shame. Because I thought.
Okay. Well, it appears Matt is frozen. I don't know, Randy. There he is. I don't know what's going on. You're a little slow over there, Matt. Your thing's kind of lagging, but we got most of what you said. But we're gonna move on here. And after that match, we had the Dolph Ziggler segment where he, they played on the leaked picture scandal of certain celebrities in Hollywood, such as Jennifer Lawrence, Victoria Justice, Kate Upton. There were all those leaked pictures that came out last week, and they kind of played off that with The Miz. Interesting segment. I found it funny. I mean, the little thing that stuck out to me was when you had Sandow out there with The Miz as Miz was coming down and talking, kind of mimicking his movements. It's those little things that really help those kind of segments and really help the gimmick, as Sandow is in character. I think that was great. WWE did a great job with that segment. So definitely funny, definitely on point with that. Randy, what do you think?
Honestly, I don't know what to say on that. In my honest opinion, the whole thing with Sandow is, are they just trying to keep him on the show?
I think that's what they're doing. Yeah.
Um, they honestly should just kind of give him like a new gimmick, like I think how they're doing with Zack Ryder with the whole bunny thing. They should just kind of do something like that with him, because I mean I don't like seeing him with the Miz, because I mean he's obviously lost twice already, so I mean being the Miz's stunt double is not doing him any better on that. The What would really, 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 really be funny is if he came out and his face was, he shaved his face and he cut his hair and everything, and he looked just like the Miz. I mean, he's already wearing the man's tights, So, I mean, that would be really funny in my opinion. Other than that, I mean, I really don't even know what they're trying to do with Sandow anymore, to be honest. But yeah, the whole thing with Ziggler though, that's my boy. I got to go with him, 100%. Um, Other than that, I mean, not. I'm not really seeing anything with Sandow anymore. He's a lost cause in my opinion now.
Not a bad statement. And Matt, before we jump to your counter, maybe Aaron Mason weighing in with a pretty good idea. I feel like Damian will beat Ziggler at some point in the next few months, hopefully not too soon, in a feud with Miz over who the title is rightfully. So, Matt, what do you have to say on that segment?
Well, first and foremost, if I start to lag, or you can say and let me know so that
Yeah, you're
a
lagging
lot
a
of people
little
will be able
bit.
to hear what a little bit. Can you understand what I'm saying now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you got that robot voice going on again.
Shit. All right.
Just a little bit. I mean, it's
Well,
coming out a lot clearer.
all right. Well, I'll see if I can't fix that, but I'll a little on Raw. I love it. I absolutely love where they're going with the Miz. I really enjoy perfectly, and a lot of people are against me on that. Stupid. But I think they've done this gimmick before with other people, but I don't think it's fit as well as anybody else. I heard, this is the way people see the Miz. They see the Miz as arrogant asshole that came over from MTV, and they're kind of, they're using that to their advantage. And I think they're doing a fabulous job with it. I mentioned that I really liked the whole makeup table. I really enjoyed that. I liked the ending with Sandow yelling "action" and then running into the ring. I was crying. That was hilarious. And I get what you're saying, Randy, about Sandow not being utilized. But at this point, where they are, it's one of those. You can either fight it and get fired, or you can go with what they want you to do and at least get some TV time. And I think that um, with that in mind, this is the best option for him right now. He's getting TV, getting recognition. And I know a lot of people like to say that he's completely buried. There's no coming back from this. I don't think you can ever be buried unless you're fired. To the point, I think there's always a little bit of room to be brought back in some way. I mean, he could have some breakthrough pipe bomb moment. Not to throw any names out there. Punk. I just did that to piss some people off because, our rope breakers, damn Punk. Uh, but I think that the segment, I liked the segment. I thought it did great for the feud. Because we haven't seen a whole lot out of Ziggler so far. We've kind of seen him wrestle a little bit, but we haven't seen a lot of him on the mic. So it's been more focused, a lot more entertaining, a lot more interesting. Ziggler doesn't really have a gimmick. He doesn't have really something to respect more out of Ziggler this week. We can relate to him a little bit better. And like you said, awesome job relating to pop culture and then bringing it into his own promo. And I love the last picture got me because it really reminded me of something they do in the Attitude Era. And I think that's what I like this Monday Night Raw. That's why I liked it so much, is because, at least for the first 2 hours, it really felt like a Raw from the Attitude Era in some sense. There were things, a lot of the childish stuff was left out, and then the third hour, which we'll talk about later, kind of reverted back to what they've been doing the past few weeks, in my opinion. But the first 2 hours anyway were spot on, and this segment was one of the ones that added to that TV-14 feeling. Obviously, that photo was probably Photoshop, but
Yeah.
they did
Oh
a good
yeah,
enough
definitely,
job
definitely.
with this one where it was so realistic. Um,
I mean, they got
but
to keep
yeah,
it
I
PG,
I, I,
dude. They
I mean,
gotta.
I like doing with them is, I don't, yeah, right. They have things, certain rules they have to follow within the network, or else they'll be in breach of contract, and then they can be sued. So they got to do certain things. So obviously they can't have him just like sitting there naked and shit like that. But
Have a George Takei
like
segment where he's like, "Oh my."
I like the segment. I love what they're doing with the Miz. I don't love what they're doing with Sandow, but I understand where he's at, and I don't necessarily hate it. I'm just happy he's getting some kind of TV time, and at least it's not like at least he's not wearing. Well, he very well could be, but at least he's not wearing the bunny suit. Sure, Zack Ryder's probably not now.
This is
Probably his
true.
gig. He asked for TV time. Better be careful what you ask for.
Not a bad
All
point
right,
there
that's my
from
little
Matt.
spiel.
You know, the ever great rambler of rope break wrestling. But you know, after that we had the Page and AJ versus
And don't you forget it.
we had Page and AJ versus Natty and Rosa. I absolutely hated this. I absolutely hated this part of the show, and here's why. I understand they're trying to promote Total Divas. That's their big show. It had a huge season 3 premiere. That's great. That should have been it. You take the Divas champion and the contender, AJ Lee, and you throw them in a match with Natty and Rosa Mendes. And really, you should be focusing on AJ and Paige in that championship match at Night of Champions, not trying to mix the two together. And in my notes over here, I have in all caps, Rosa should not be allowed in the ring. And she shouldn't. She's fucking awful. She is one of the worst talents I have ever seen get in a ring. And that's saying something, especially as a diva, because it's such a criticized division. When you do something like that, it makes it look even worse. Because when you go from having divas like Trish Stratus and Lita and all those good divas, and even the divas you have now with Paige and AJ, and even Charlotte down in NXT, when you're really trying to bring talent in and you do something like that, it discredits everything you're working towards. And that's why the Divas division is a laughingstock of the company. One, because it's called Divas, and two, because of the match you're doing now. It wasn't right. Rosa should not be in a ring. You know, her and Natty did that double move, and she almost botched it because she didn't actually bend down to pick her up. And really, if you're gonna focus on the Divas segment or Total Divas, don't bring the championship into it because it just discredits what's already being discredited within the Divas division.
Exactly.
So, Matt, you got anything to add to that?
Oh, you know I do. I always have shit to add. I don't actually necessarily agree with you. I don't think it was that bad of a match. I actually didn't hate the match like you did. I do agree with your point of Rosa should not be in a ring. She needs to go back to NXT. She is not even remotely ready to be in a ring. And you're bringing up the point of the double suplex that her and Natty did, and not even just when she was bending down to pick her up, but when they actually were doing the move, she flipped her like a few seconds later than Natty.
Yep.
And you could tell it was a little bit off on her end. I didn't hate the match because I thought it did a decent job. I liked the little inner story with Paige and AJ. I like what they're working with.
I think that was the only decent part.
Right, that's why I enjoyed the match, because I kind of ignored the whole Rosa part, and I kind of just was paying attention to, whenever Paige would get hurt. I love how whenever she gets hurt, she goes, "Ow!" really loud.
Yep.
I don't know why I like that. I don't know what about it, but I just find it kind of humorous.
It's her version of selling the move.
I think it's more of selling the craziness of her character.
Yeah. I could agree to that.
Copy AJ Lee. I think that's something more towards that. I think it was brilliant.
I like this storyline, and I like how it played within this match. And I feel like the match was more about not that I think it was more about Paige and AJ than whoever was fighting. I mean, Natty and Rosa didn't even matter in that match. That wasn't the point. Right. They were supposed to bring your attention was supposed to be brought to the fact that these two girls can't get along. But it also confuses me because they're building up this rivalry, yet at Night of Champions, it's I'm pretty sure it's still going to be a fatal 4-way.
I
So I'm
believe it's
still
Paige versus AJ versus Nikki Bella. I don't think Brie will be interjected in the match unless it happens next week as kind of the big announcement that all of a sudden it's a fatal 4-way. But as right now, I believe it stands as a triple threat.
Well, either way, that doesn't make much sense to me. I don't know. We'll have to wait till Night of Champions, but it's just confusing that they're building these two separate storylines, and then all the way at Night of Champions, they're going to wait till then to mesh them together. I don't know. It's just kind of confusing to me. But I mean, other than that aspect, I like the little storyline between AJ and Paige. I didn't think it was that bad of a match.
All right, Randy, your thoughts?
Well, first things first, I gotta say, I completely agree with Matt on the fact that, I don't understand why they're throwing the whole Bella segment into the Divas Championship thing. The fact that they threw Nikki Bella in the match at Night of Champions is a complete waste, in my opinion, because she's already got a feud going on, or they're trying to continue to build the feud on with her and Brie, and then just to kind of throw her on there as like a third wing to the Divas Championship it's not right, in my opinion, because why would you throw an already happening feud into another feud for the Divas Championship? Because it doesn't make any sense, in my opinion, because the whole thing with AJ and Paige is like it's got more of a pop to it than the Bella's feud is, and I think that's the reason why they might be throwing Nikki Bella in there. But like if they were to turn it into a fatal 4-way with the two Bella sisters, I wouldn't really care to see that, because the feud, I'm sorry, with Paige and AJ, those two just need to kind of stick together for that feud, and then the Bella twins just need to go ahead and get their feud out of the way, and then you can take the Bellas and throw them in there in the Divas title thing, and then like with the whole thing with Rosa and Natty, I mean, I think that was just maybe some fillers for TV time, I guess. I didn't really pay attention to that match very much because I was busy messing around on Facebook and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't really see a point in throwing in one of the Bellas if considering the fact that the Bellas are already in a feud to themselves, and you're just gonna throw her in there. And I mean, why would they do that? That's just my opinion on it. Why would they just kind of throw her in there? It might just be because, of a contract signing, or Stephanie's just trying to get her over to make her look like she's the better Bella. I'm not sure, but that's just how I feel about it. I don't really like it that much. The whole Divas tag match was a complete waste, in my opinion. I mean, the only good thing about that was the fact that Paige and AJ got over on that. That's basically how I feel about that.
I agree, and another thing to consider is the fact that this whole feud leading into Night of Champions, this whole triple threat, the way it seems to be being built, even if it's a fatal 4-way or even if it's a triple threat, Brie Bella is going to get involved in some form or fashion. Yeah. It wouldn't make sense if she didn't. So with that being said, you have to consider that if that happens, people are going to be focused solely on that rivalry at that point. And it's going to really detract from this awesome feud they have going with AJ and Paige. And honestly, it makes no sense to me because that's your big feud. Brie and Nikki cannot hold it without Stephanie McMahon being in the ring. That doesn't call for a big feud. If the two main wrestlers or divas in the ring can't hold it on their own without having somebody else help them, then that should not be your top feud. And they've been building it and billing it these past few weeks, as the main divas feud on that roster, and it shouldn't be because it's not as good as what AJ and Paige could potentially be. So having this match at Night of Champions really detracts from that because you're going to be focused on, is Brie going to interfere? What's going to happen with this rivalry? Whether you care or not, whether you think this feud is garbage or not, you're going to be focused on that, and they're going to bring your attention to that, and you'll forget about that Paige and AJ was even in the ring at that point, and Paige is the Divas champion. I just think it's
Nah,
poor booking, and it just doesn't make any sense and detracts from both of them. Keep them separate, put Nikki and Brie on the pre-show, and leave the Divas Championship alone and let them do their own thing on the main card.
I definitely have to agree with both of you guys there. Definitely great points. It's a very confusing situation right now with what they're trying to accomplish within the Divas division with that group of girls. But I mean, you know, we'll see how it plays out in the next few weeks. But
What is that noise?
I don't know.
I'm not hearing it.
It's coming from your end, but I don't know. But
Get it together, Matt.
after
I haven't done
that,
anything different.
after that match, we had Chris Jericho. He's in the locker room getting looked at, and Orton comes in and attacks him and really beats the hell out of him, takes out his knee. Um, you know, could this be a way of them wanting to write Jericho off TV, or is this kind of a quick build to get Jericho on a match at Night of Champions? As one final match before he leaves for Fozzy. I'm not really sure. I mean, you could take it either way. It could be Jericho being written off, or them trying to do a quick build, and then they'll do a promo segment next week and probably a match, and then they'll have their match at Night of Champions. I mean, those are my thoughts on it. That's what I thought the point was. Not a bad segment overall. Randy, what do you think?
I honestly don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I really don't. I'm trying to think. 3 hours
Well,
later.
If,
Go ahead,
if you
Matt.
want
Go
to take
ahead.
a minute,
Go ahead.
yeah, I'll
Go
I'll
ahead.
give you my pointers on the match or on the segment, and then you can throw in your 2 cents afterwards. Yeah, I'm not sure either what's going to become of this. Like I said earlier, it seemed to me since the highlight reel last week that they'd be building that they're building up to a Orton Jericho feud. That's what it seemed like because he was making sure he threw his jokes in and jabs at Orton specifically for a lot of that. And then obviously this week carrying it further with having Orton now take his frustrations out on him. I do think that there's an Orton Jericho feud in the future. I don't know that it'll be at Night of Champions because this is a pretty convincing way to write him off the show. So, if that does happen and he writes him off the show, then he can go do his touring, and then he can come back, do his 3 months, and in that 3 months, they can have their feud. But then that also leads to the question: what is this? What's the purpose?
Right.
Because obviously Jericho is not going to win. It wouldn't make sense to have Jericho, who's only there for 3 months, win, and he's not going to accomplish anything unless they're building up Jericho to put other guys over. And same thing with Orton. Orton winning, he's there long term. But the only reason I would see to build him, I don't see him being a champion in the future. I don't think he's going to be a champion again. I just don't see that happening. I think they're starting to build towards the future, and I don't think you need Orton in the title picture and the main title picture anymore. Anyway.
Right.
So the only way, the only reason I could see Jericho coming back and feud with Orton is to put Orton over, is pretty much to build him up in order to take him down and put over another talent. Maybe he decimates. Maybe he does. They do have a match at Night of Champions, and Orton, takes him out permanently. And by permanently, I mean until he comes back for another 3 months. And then that really builds Orton to being a strong guy, in a sense. But then again, he also lost to Bray Wyatt 2 times pretty much in a row. Does Orton beating him really serve any purpose to building Orton that much? I would actually much rather see Jericho leave and then come back stronger, have a couple of build-up wins on a Monday Night Raw, leading to a match where he beats Orton at a pay-per-view, kind of similar to what they did with him and Bray to build up Orton. I don't think him losing to Orton is going to be as big as it could be. And like I said, putting over Orton in order to put over a younger talent, I think you kind of, at this stage in his career right now, where he's been this past couple of years, they need to start working on building him up because he's kind of lost so much steam. And I know Aaron Mason agrees with me because he wrote a pretty awesome article pretty much about that, how he's very underrated.
Right.
So go to rulebreakwrestling.com and check that bad boy out. But that's pretty much how I feel. I think that they will have a match, and it'll be for the benefit of building Orton back up a bit.
Right, I have to agree with you there. I think mainly, I think WWE is doing what they usually do and trying to, get a quick build going right before a pay-per-view. And so I think they will have a match at Night of Champions. We see Jericho lose because they are trying to build Orton up as this strong heel entity again, which they should have done a long time ago. And before we jump to Randy's comment on that, we had a couple rope breakers weigh in. In the meantime, Aaron Mason, without a doubt, the NXT debuts were the best part of Raw for me. Kyle agreeing the NXT match was awesome, and Aaron Mason commenting back, Adrian Neville doing his Power Rangers flip and shit. We will get to that very shortly, and then Aaron Mason weighing in on Jericho. I'm not sure if anyone else noticed, but at one point, I'm sure JBL said, well, Jericho did piss him off last week after they replayed the segment. So, good stuff there from the Rope Breakers. Randy, what do you think about this Jericho situation here?
Well,
I know you didn't have anything before, so.
I was just trying to put the right words together. The whole thing with the Orton and Jericho backstage, it could have very well been a way to write Chris Jericho off for next week's show. Because, like I said, if they have to do a match with Jericho at Night of Champions, I wouldn't really know who they would put him up against, because Orton is already in a feud with Roman Reigns for that night, and it could very well be him putting him off for the next couple of weeks, and then have him come back after Night of Champions to set up a feud with Randy Orton. It's very possible, very, very possible. Randy Orton is by far one of the best heels in WWE right now, and the fact that they're trying to build him back up to that status is pretty impressive in my opinion. I hate it when WWE throws a feud together right at the last minute. I hate it so much because it just doesn't make any sense. I would rather have it build up, kind of like they're doing the Bella segment. Not exactly, don't get me wrong, but not exactly like that, but I love it whenever they take it and they build it and they build it and they build it, other than just kind of throwing it together right at the last minute. But getting Orton over as the heel and then showing that he's, still got it, but the only thing that doesn't make sense to me is the fact that he took out Jericho. Like I said, it could be because he's trying to take him off TV for the whole Reigns feud, and then they could have him come back and have Jericho attack Orton or something like that. But I mean, everybody knows that the Wyatt and Jericho feud is now over. The Orton and Jericho feud could very well happen. I would actually like to see that. I mean, other than that, I really just think it was either A, trying to get Jericho off of TV, or B, just trying to show just how good of a heel that Randy Orton is. Either or.
That's not a bad way to put it. I can see where you're coming from with that. It's tough because WWE's become unpredictable lately. So I mean, we'll see what happens. On the Go Home Raw. After that, you had that Paul Heyman segment, which was probably my favorite segment of the night. John Cena did a surprisingly good job with his promo. Heyman comes out selling the match. Cena immediately, interrupts him. And once Cena gets to the ring, he immediately takes a jab at The Undertaker, saying Brock Lesnar took out The Undertaker and nobody's heard a peep from him in 6 months. I got the life beat out of me at SummerSlam, and I was back, the next night or whatever the hell it was he said. Interesting way to put it. It definitely, it sells how strong Brock Lesnar is, but then at the same time with Cena saying, "Oh, I was back the next night," um, it it kind of discredits the Undertaker and what he's worked for, and then Cena kind of, I don't know, maybe going into business for himself in that aspect, and then he points out, my motto is never give up. We're all tired of hearing that. We know your motto is never give up. You're a walking billboard with that motto. You wear it on your T-shirt, on your towels, on your wristbands. You probably got it tattooed on your ass. Who the hell knows? Um, then Heyman makes a good point, and he points out that Cena really lives for the kids, and he lives for the guys, the people in the audience, and how he wants to hear "Let's go Cena, let's go Cena, let's go Cena," but instead, he says, instead he gets Cena sucks, Cena sucks, Cena sucks, and that Cena should tap into that rage and that hatred, and that's how he's going to be able to beat Brock Lesnar, and Cena should tell those guys in the audience to shut up, and Cena kind of counters with, "Oh, you want me to do it? You want me to do it?" Really kind of teasing his supposed heel turn that'll never happen. And then Cena really goes into, a passionate part of himself, which we don't see often because he's so, he's such a robotic yes man to what, the creative team hands him as a promo. And he really says, I like it when there's a kid in the front audience and he's chanting, "Let's go Cena," and his dad might not like me, but immediately after the show, his dad comes up and shakes my hand and says, "I'm glad what you did for my kid." And then, he goes into his Make-A-Wish and saying how, the kid has one, final wish, and it's to meet me, and that's great. And then he brings up how he meets the troops and how he got a Purple Heart. And I think that was a good part of that segment, really selling the type of person he is, and, how he's eat, sleep, beat John Cena, repeat. I like that. And then I think my favorite part of that whole segment was when Paul Heyman took a jab at all the Ravens fans for that Ray Rice incident.
Oh
Uh,
man.
for those of you who don't know, back in February, Ray Rice was with his now wife, then fiance, girlfriend, whatever. And they were in an elevator. He punched her in the face, and there was a big controversy because the NFL waited so long for things to happen. He was suspended for 2 games, and then the controversy ensued, and then the video came out yesterday, and Ray Rice's contract was immediately terminated with the Baltimore Ravens. The NFL has suspended him indefinitely. Lots of controversial opinions, and definitely people have different viewpoints on that, and there's a lot of we could talk about that all day, but this is a wrestling show, not a football show. But definitely good job done by all in that segment. I really loved it. It really sold the match at Night of Champions. And then Cena saying at the end, "Look, if Brock doesn't show up here next week, I'll fight you." And then classic Paul Heyman, I'm just not really freaking out like he always does. And we already knew Brock was going to be there, so it's going to be exciting to see what happens next week between John Cena and Brock Lesnar when they have that confrontation. Matt, what did you think?
Honestly, that was probably my favorite Paul Heyman promo in his most recent run with the WWE. I really enjoyed it. He did a hell of a job putting over this match. And I agree with you. I really think Cena did a great job. When he first started the promo and said, "Shut up, Paul Heyman," it felt very stiff to me. It felt very
It was forced.
cardboard, very cartoonish. Exactly. And I was kind of like, "Oh, here we go, same old shit. It's going to be another really crappy acted promo that's not real." And then, when he started talking about the kids and, like you said, the troops and Make-A-Wish, and he started getting emotional, I was tuned in and I didn't want to stop watching it because I thought they both did a fantastic job of putting over this match. And that Baltimore Ravens joke, that was perfect timing. That was hilarious. I just felt like every little bit of this segment, Paul Heyman did a perfect job at being annoying. He got a good amount of pop from the crowd for saying Baltimore, and then at the end, by kind of dissing him at the end, really kind of gain that heel status back and that cowardice of being afraid of John Cena and I'm just an advocate. I'm just an advocate. I thought the whole segment was done perfectly. And we all know that Brock Lesnar will be there next week. I'm pretty sure it's going to be, Heyman will come out by himself and then Cena will come out to attack him and then, Heyman will tell him that Brock Lesnar isn't there. Cena's like, all right, then I'll fight you. And then that's when Lesnar, comes out from the back. That's pretty much how they always do it. That's a little bit predictable in and of itself, but great job building Night of Champions. And, I was thinking actually while watching this segment that this is the first post-SummerSlam Monday Night Raw that has actually done anything to build multiple storylines to Night of Champions. The past two Monday Night Raws haven't really built anything. The past few since SummerSlam have not really built any feuds. And this is the first Monday Night Raw where we really saw some great character development, some great storyline development. And like I said, this segment was one of those moments where it was like, okay, this Cena Lesnar rematch, I'm actually getting a little bit interested in it again.
All right, I definitely agree with you there. It was definitely a solid segment. Definitely sold the hell out of that match. Like they did before SummerSlam with that UFC style promo, really wanting you to tune in and watch that match. Another thing I got to mention at the top of the show was that they called it the season premiere. That irked the hell out of me because, look, you're on 52, 53 weeks a year. You don't have a season premiere. You just keep going. If anything, like Aussie pointed out yesterday on our Facebook page with a rope breaker, that if anything, their season premiere is the night after WrestleMania. So, that was just one thing that irked me the whole night was it's a season premiere of Raw. It's a season premiere of Raw. No, you're on 52, 53 weeks a year. You don't have a season premiere. It just doesn't work. And Randy, before we jump to your comments on that Paul Heyman John Cena segment, some rope breakers weighing in. Aaron Mason, Heyman never ceases to amaze me when he picks up a microphone. I could listen to that man all day. I think we are all in agreement there. I could listen to that guy read a phone book, much like Morgan Freeman. Kyle Colahan weighing in. John Cena did kill it on that promo. So definitely a good opinion from Kyle there. Randy, your thoughts on that segment?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. My biggest thing with that is Heyman really does kill it every single time he gets on the mic. Past couple of weeks, it's been my client this, my client that, Brock Lesnar this, Brock Lesnar that, and I mean it was getting kind of stale. The passion that Cena did show last night is, like you said, a side that we don't really get to see that often. Cena is his biggest issue is the fact that he cannot keep a solid character. Like he'll do something that shocks us, and then it goes stale. It always does, and I think it's because of his character. I mean, he'll do something and it'll be awesome, and then he'll do it again, and then it's not worth it anymore.
Right.
But the promo that he cut last night, whenever he told Paul Heyman to shut up, I got chills for the first time in a long time from a Cena promo, because I mean it was really, really solid. I loved the way that they sold that. Paul Heyman dropping the ball on the Ravens, that was a little too soon in my opinion. If anything, he could have waited a little bit later to do that. But I mean, pretty solid stuff coming from Heyman. It's just like Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt kills it every time he's on the mic. In my opinion, I love it. It's just like that. Paul Heyman is a promo god, if you want to call him that. The whole thing is I think that they are trying to get Cena over for the promo. That way he doesn't look like such a bitch whenever Brock Lesnar beats the hell out of him again at Night of Champions, because it's Night of Champions is either going to go one of two ways. It's going to be like SummerSlam, or Cena's actually going to put on a fight like he did 2 years ago at Extreme Rules, because that's the kind of fight I want to see, is the fight that they had at Extreme Rules. That really, really was an awesome match. It was one of the best matches I've ever seen Cena in, and I wish that they would do that again, because everybody knows the only way that you can beat Lesnar is with the steel steps. Everybody knows that. But, I mean, other than that, I loved it. We'll get to the NXT segment in a minute, but other than that, the NXT and the Paul Heyman Cena promo, that was it for the show. That's what saved it. That is what saved it, in my opinion. But I'll go ahead and pass it back over to you guys.
All right, yeah, definitely some good thoughts there from Randy. Good stuff. My thing with the match coming up at Night of Champions is I don't want it to be a typical Cena versus, a Goliath match where Cena gets the hell beat out of him for 15, 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden at the last, 5 minutes he pumps himself up, and then he's all good again. He's ready to go. Someone took the someone took the kryptonite out of his chest, and he's better again. The sun, rained down on Super Cena. He's ready to fight. So I hope that really it's a good back and forth match at Night of Champions between the both of them, because if it's, Brock Lesnar beating the hell out of John Cena for 15 minutes, and then Cena coming back for 5, and then Lesnar picking up the win, it's just not going to work. If you want to make it a big fight feel, if you want to really make it worthwhile, really have it a back and forth match, and those are my final thoughts on that.
Like I said, like the Extreme Rules match they had, if they wanted to do that, do it like that, because that Extreme Rules match was solid. They need to do that match like that at Night of Champions.
I definitely agree. After that segment, you had Sheamus versus Seth Rollins, or as Aussie would say, Shitmas.
Otherwise known as a piss break.
Yeah. Decent match. Not really sure why they put Seth Rollins in there. Maybe just to get him on TV, have him in a match. Cesaro came out kind of teasing Sheamus. I'm coming for your championship. What really saved that segment was Cesaro at the end. Teasing him and then pulling on the title and then falling back and coming back and giving him the neutralizer. And I know Matt's not a big fan of that finisher, but my biggest thing with that is it was a great ending when that neutralizer happened, but the thing that ruined it for me were those goddamn sirens. It just ruined the whole moment. Like, he hit the neutralizer and the crowd was just booing. It was beautiful. It was great. It was a true heel moment. And then those fucking sirens hit, and it's like, okay, well, now the disbelief is gone. I'm listening to awful sirens. I don't want to watch this anymore. Please move on. So, I mean, that was really what ruined that moment for me. Matt, what did you think?
I'm with you on the sirens 100%. Every time they come on, it's not like, oh shit, Cesaro's coming out, this is going to be awesome. It's, I feel like I'm about to watch a silent 1920s police drama. It just is not a good theme. The sirens just are weak. I didn't mind his original sirens. Those actually had, had some balls to them. It was, like a deep siren, and you were like, oh shit, here we go. I know Aussie is very vocal about hating those sirens because they remind him of Perry Saturn. And I get where he's coming from because, fuck Perry Saturn. But I just felt like those sirens definitely sucked. I'm not a fan of the neutralizer. I think that his uppercut is a much more devastating maneuver than that neutralizer. I respect it because it's, it's kind of an old school move. He's a very old school wrestler, which is why he's one of my favorites. But yeah, the theme song really, this is where, they've really dropped the ball on theme songs in the past 4 or 5 years because they've only had like a handful of decent ones. The only good ones that are left are the old theme songs, like, when Triple H comes out to his, or, if somebody comes back and you hear their old theme song, it's just lame, and they don't. It sucks because the theme song is really important. It's the first thing people hear before you come into the arena. It's the first thing people hear that makes them say, "I'm really excited for this." If Stone Cold were to come out to some shitty circus music, like his ringmaster shit as Stone Cold Steve Austin, people would be like, "Who gives a damn? Who cares?" But when you hear that glass shatter, you're like, "Oh shit, it's about to go down."
Yeah, the theme really sells the character.
Exactly, and they've dropped the ball on that, and especially with Cesaro because he's got this tough guy character, but that theme ain't doing it for him. And he's really kind of dropped down since I know we've talked about this before, touched on it a little bit, since being with Heyman, because I don't think they really wanted to focus on him when he was with Heyman. I don't blame Heyman for that. I think Heyman had other things going on, and WWE just wasn't booking him right.
I agree.
So I just feel like I'm not really excited for this feud because I don't feel like Sheamus. I feel like Sheamus is gonna win. He's their golden child. Can't do nothing wrong. He's like Cena. He's like the Irish John Cena. He's just over the top. Very very PG gimmick. It's just not interesting to me. Not something I enjoy, and I've never liked the guy. I don't exactly know why. He's just never appealed to me. I've never liked him.
Well, he's not an appealing
so
character.
Him just being him just in itself is the reason I don't want to see this match, just because he's in it. Maybe, and I don't think Cesaro will win. I don't really see them pushing Cesaro to be United States champion. And to be honest, I don't even know. I think that could hurt him. That thing has been like a paperweight, since Dean Ambrose had it, and it's not even Ambrose's fault. Actually, before that, it's been a paperweight for years. They haven't done anything with it to make it credible. And it's one of those, if they don't care about the title, then why should we? So him having that title might just hold him down even further. It could be an even bigger, because, when's the last time Sheamus was on, that you even, I forgot he was U.S. champion. That's how much I care about that.
Well, that's how much they push the title. When you forget who the U.S. champion is, that really goes to show you what the value of that title is.
They just need to drop the title altogether because it's not, they're not doing anything with it. It's not doing anything productive for anybody. So I really don't want to see Cesaro win just for that reason, because I really feel like it's going to hurt him in the long run. But the match itself, I don't know. Sheamus was in it. That's pretty much all I got to say.
Sheamus was in it. I'm sure Aussie would be saying the same thing because Sheamus was in it. He's a big Seth Rollins guy, but Sheamus was in it.
I love that Seth Rollins. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I love that Seth Rollins. I know Aussie was happy, but it was against Sheamus, and it was kind of let's see if I'm remembering this correctly. He was distracted, right? Isn't that what happened? He was distracted by Cesaro?
Yes.
So it really wasn't a strong victory. I hate when they do that. That's so overused, in my opinion. Not the fault, like either a false finish or, to me that's still a disqualification, even though it's not technically one.
Right.
He kind of got distracted by Cesaro, using outside interference, to distract the guy. It's so overused. Every finish is like that now. Specifically within the mid card, and it really hurts. I don't, win over a guy who hasn't been on TV in weeks, hasn't defended his title. I think he defended it once, maybe. Beating him because of Cesaro's interference doesn't bode well for Rollins. I think it was a waste of a match. There's more productive things they could be doing with him, and that was not one of them.
All right, I don't disagree with you there. I definitely agree. Could be, it's just, it is what it is with the WWE. Randy, your thoughts on that match?
Well, like you guys said, the Cesaro theme song is really, really fucking annoying. The best theme song Cesaro's ever had was the one right before this one, before he actually started using the We the People theme. That one before that that one was my all-time favorite because I don't know, I guess it was just a beat or something. I just really liked that one. It's called Miracle. I actually looked it up
Yep.
while you guys were discussing it. It's called Miracle, and it was the best one that he's ever had. This one was okay whenever he first came out with it, whenever it was just the siren, and then it was a theme, but then they started throwing in the ambulance siren, and I'm like, why do you have to ruin such a good theme or such a uh, almost relevant theme? And then they just kind of threw in the sirens. I guess it was his idea or something, but it's god awful. Every time it comes on, I think of SpongeBob. Whenever Patrick's like wee woo, wee woo. uh, I mean, the match
Oh
itself.
man, thanks, Randy. Now that's all I'm going to be able to think of.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Uh, the match itself, it's like you guys are saying, Sheamus is really stale. Whenever they took him off TV and then they brought him back at the Royal Rumble, that was like the biggest pop Sheamus could have gotten. And then they just kind of put him underneath the ropes again, and I don't understand why they did that. Uh, Sheamus is losing his credibility for being the United States champion. Uh, it's not that Dean Ambrose didn't really do anything. He was like the only one within the past 5 years who actually gave the title a name. Because I mean, he's like one of the longest reigning United States champions of all time, and then they just kind of gave it to Sheamus for what reason I don't know. And then they're gonna put him in this feud with Cesaro, and Cesaro's already held the title once. So if they were to just pass it back down to him, it wouldn't really even matter, in my opinion, because it's not like the title means anything. If they want to do anything with that title, they need to unify it with the United States with the Intercontinental Championship to give it meaning again. Because even though my boy Dolph Ziggler is holding it, the Intercontinental title is in the same boat with that.
Mhm.
So if they like unify the titles together, they could call it something like the United Intercontinental Championship or something like that, and just kind of throw the two belt designs together. The Intercontinental title being white, I hate it. It's just ugly. I hate the fact that it's white. I mean, I know that it's different, and it's they've had it for since Cody Rhodes held the title
Yep.
back before he actually grew out the mustache and stuff. So. And I believe he actually paid out of his own pocket
Yeah, he did.
to do that. But I mean, I hate it because it's ugly, it's white, it's out, it's just, oh man. But yeah, if they want to bring back meaning to those belts, they need to go ahead and unify them. Sheamus being the champion is not relevant in my opinion. I hate the fact that his character's been so stale. The best Sheamus I've seen was after he beat Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, and then they just kind of dropped the ball on that. And then, I mean, he's really been shit since. But that's just how I feel about it. I really do think that they should unify the belts, and then they should actually give it to somebody who's going to promote it and actually, hold it for what it's worth, if you want to say that. But you guys can go ahead.
All right, definitely a strong statement there from Randy. I see down in the corner, I see Matt keeps raising the people's eyebrow. Do you have a quick counter to what Randy said?
Oh, I absolutely do. First and foremost, I just wanted to point out that I think that it isn't that Ambrose himself brought back some credibility. He didn't defend it, but I think it was more the Shield brought back the credibility because it was within that group and they were in the spotlight so much that you kind of had no choice but to think about the title all the time. And that was good for it. And I think they gave it to Sheamus because I think they were about to split up the Shield, and they didn't want. And also, I believe Roman Reigns and Rollins either dropped the titles or were about to drop the titles, and having one without titles wouldn't have been good. So I think that was the reasoning behind it. Don't call me, but the real issue I'm having here, Randy, I'm calling you out.
Call me out, okay.
I completely disagree with you as far as the IC title goes. It's my favorite title on the roster, and I think that I absolutely love the white belt. I think it looks amazing. I think it looks so classy. I just love the white leather and the bronze. I just think it looks great together. I love it way more than the ugly black one with the globe on it that just looked, to me, looked like garbage. That was what the eyebrow raising was all about. I absolutely disagree with you as far as that
Everybody
goes,
has
but
their
that's
own
all right.
opinion on it, man.
Oh,
I
all right,
completely
yeah.
agree. I agree. It's your opinion. You're entitled to it, but I'm here to tell you your opinion's wrong.
Okay, all right, all right.
Strong statement from Matt here on the panel. Before we start having an impromptu match here, we got plenty of strong statements here from the Rope Breakers. Kyle Colahan weighing in saying Cesaro's music may be the worst in WWE right now. Aaron Mason, I feel as if Seth Rollins is losing heat very quickly. Mr. Money in the Bank needs to be the dangerous guy, not the authorities, bitch. I definitely agree with you there, Aaron. Aaron repeat saying again, Sheamus had what made a pretty decent heel back in the day. Kyle saying, I saw Sheamus win that U.S. title live, referring to the Raw that took place here in Albany, New York. Aaron commenting awesome, then saying Sheamus has less title defenses than Dean Ambrose, and that is saying something. Aaron again, the Siren annoys me. He barely uses the swing anymore. And Kyle weighing in, and I believe in what Randy said about the Miracle theme song. Is the theme that Dean Malenko's remixed? Not entirely sure. But Aaron Mason saying, I like the idea of having the IC and US belts unified, but then there's only room for one top guy, one mid-level guy, and one tag team. Definitely a good idea to unify them, and I don't think it's a bad idea that there's, one championship for each level, because then it really will help hone in the storylines. Kyle again, I like the title design because it's classic. Kyle countering back, I think they should keep two titles, the Intercontinental for the more entertaining guys, in the U.S. for more of the guys that are good in-ring workers. And Aaron weighing in, I miss the days where the IC title was defended randomly on Raw and SmackDown. Definitely plenty of strong statements there from the Rule Breakers. We appreciate you guys always weighing in here on the show and sticking with us. After that, we had that Rusev segment, which I will admit, I muted the TV, and I just didn't watch it. I didn't really care for it. I don't know if that's speaking for Rusev or Lana or what's going on with Rusev and Mark Henry. I just don't care for it. It doesn't draw me in. It doesn't entertain me. I know they're trying to do the whole USA versus Russia thing, but it just, I didn't like it. I didn't care for it. I don't know. Maybe you guys differ. It would be better if it was still Jack Swagger and Rusev. I mean, I don't know.
They just kind of dropped the ball on that. Like, the Swagger thing never happened.
Right, yeah, I agree with you there. So I don't know if you guys have anything to counter to that or add. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, I see where you're coming. I don't think they dropped the ball with the Jack Swagger thing. Although this week we didn't see Swagger at all on television. You would think they could fit all of this shit in 2 hours in the Attitude Era, but now all of a sudden they have 1 extra hour and they can't seem to fit anything in anymore. I don't know what the deal is going on there, but it's like they used to fit every main match was on Raw in some form or fashion, even if they were getting a backstage segment, it was there. Now, for some reason, they can't seem to do that, and they have even more time to do it. It's just ridiculous to me. I don't think that they're dropping it. I think what they're going to do, and I mentioned this last week on React, I think they're kind of cleansing our palates from that feud, because the last thing we saw was Swagger being put in the camel clutch, or the what's it called there? What's his finisher called?
I think it's called the Accolade.
The Accolade, that's right. And then not tapping, but passing out, similar to Bret Hart, Stone Cold back at WrestleMania. And I kind of liked it because it made Swagger look strong, like he had the will to continue fighting, but he just couldn't take it anymore. He didn't tap, but he just got knocked out. So I think what they're doing is they're working on building Swagger, and they're working on building Rusev a little bit more. This Henry match, you can't look at it as this is going to be entertaining, because all this match really is, at least the way that I see it, is a match to put Rusev over even more by beating Henry. So, I made this prediction before. Don't expect Mark Henry to beat Rusev at Night of Champions, because that makes absolutely no sense. It serves no purpose to Henry for him to win. And Rusev beating him would be huge for Rusev. And I know Aussie last week said he wasn't interested in this match because two big guys going at it in the ring is never entertaining.
No, I agree.
If you have an extremely athletic guy like a Brock Lesnar, then that's different. But I agree with him on that. It's almost never entertaining to have two big guys who have like the same type of moves going in the ring at each other. That's why I kind of feel like this is a better match for a Monday Night Raw main event.
Definitely.
I think putting it on a main event of Raw really puts Rusev in the spotlight more so than putting it on a pay-per-view, because at that point, that's not something I'm willing to pay for. I'm willing to watch it for free, and even if it's the main event or the second to last match on Raw, even, I'd be willing to watch it then. And if he beats Henry on Raw, that's huge. But I think they're building up Swagger, they're building up Rusev, and I think they're going to revisit this rivalry with Swagger going over Rusev at the very end. I really think that that's what they're building towards. So don't expect Henry to win. And I actually feel like Rusev is going to win the U.S. Championship from Sheamus. And that's why I think Cesaro is going to lose, because if they're building Rusev-Sheamus, or they're building Rusev to take the title, him fighting Cesaro wouldn't make much sense. Heel versus heel, foreign versus foreign. It doesn't work as well as, babyface Sheamus. Obviously, he's from Ireland, but, he's more of a United States advocate than Cesaro. So having him take the strap off Sheamus, make him an even bigger heel, because now he's Russian, but he's got the U.S. title. That would be even more heat on him. And I think he's got the most authentic heat right now as far as anybody else on the roster goes.
Right.
So him taking the strap, and then Swagger coming back after being built up a little bit more, and then beating him for the U.S. Championship, I think that could be huge for Swagger. But at the end of the day, it's still Swagger going over, so do we really want that? I don't.
No, I have to agree with you. It's definitely should be more interesting than it is. Swagger should be involved somehow. Maybe we could see Rusev win the U.S. title. Who knows? The Rulebreakers weighing in over here. Aaron Mason. I like where they are trying to go with Rusev, but it's just Rusev is a heel. What's next? I'm not too interested in it, though it might be because I'm British. Definitely see where you're coming from there. Kyle Callahan was Bo Dallas on Raw last night. Aaron Mason quickly countering with, nope, thankfully, Aaron, that's why, I like you, because I don't like Bo Dallas either. But
Damn it, Aaron.
Aaron weighing in.
He doesn't bowl.
I can picture Angle coming back once his TNA contract is done and beating Rusev. It's possible, might not be possible. Angle in recent weeks has been trying to reach out to WWE to come back. Went to Triple H, and Triple H was kind of against it, and then went over Triple H's head to Vince McMahon. Triple H wasn't too happy, so we might not see Angle coming back, because as most of you know, Triple H is in charge of talent now, so that could be a roadblock for him. Kyle commenting back, not a believer, and Aaron quickly fighting back. It's not that I don't like him. I like the gimmick, but it's gone dry for me. I wish they kept his streak going. We could, Matt could sit here and talk about Bo Dallas all day, but unfortunately we don't have all day to talk about Bo Dallas. After that Rusev segment, we had Adrian Neville and Sami Zayn versus Tyson Kidd and Tyler Breeze. Definitely my favorite match of the night. Love what they're doing with NXT as always. It's always interesting. Triple H's brainchild. Very solid showing from all four guys, even Tyler Breeze, even though I'm not a big fan. It was kind of their moment to really shine. even though they're still locked down in NXT, but it's really kind of their way to say, hey, we're here, we're coming, and they really did a solid job of doing that. Randy, what do you think of that?
The NXT guys, yes, they like I said earlier, they probably helped save the show. I really liked that corkscrew dive, whatever you want to call it. That was really, really impressive. It took me back to whenever Evan Bourne was doing the what was that move called? Airborne.
Shooting star
Yeah.
press.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Oh, airborne.
that
Yeah. Yep.
I loved that move. It was one of my favorites at the time. Like I said, it took me back whenever it made me it reminded me of Evan Bourne, and the NXT guys. I actually commented on somebody's stream or not the stream, a post either I think it was either the Spotlight or it was WWE memes, one of the two. They were talking about the NXT guys, and I said that the NXT guys had put on a better show last night than the main guys have in almost a month, and I got a lot of heat for that. But that was my opinion because I really, really did enjoy that. Those guys were awesome. I really do hope that they have more like that on Raw or SmackDown, even though SmackDown's pre-taped and stuff.
Right.
But I really did enjoy that. It helped save the show. The only thing I didn't understand is why. I mean, because Tyson Kidd has been on the show before. I think he was even at a WrestleMania.
Yep.
But I don't understand why they're taking him down to that level. Maybe it's to help build his character back up.
Yeah, I think that's why.
But the other guy that they had him team up with, what was it? What's his name?
Tyler Breeze.
Tyler Breeze. I don't really watch NXT because I don't have the time.
Right.
But they really didn't pop for me like the other two guys did. He honestly, in my opinion, looks like a very cleaned up Heath Slater. If you want to go there. But I mean,
I could see where you're coming from.
that was a definitely solid addition to last night's show. I really did enjoy it. Seeing the NXT guys come on was awesome. It really was. It showed that they've got bigger and better talent to be pushed, and yeah, that's how I feel about it. The NXT segment was awesome. It really was.
All right. I definitely agree with you there, Randy. Definitely a strong showing from all three guys debuting, and even Tyson Kidd kind of re-debuting, I guess. He had a strong showing as well. Matt, anything you want to add to that NXT segment?
Yeah, I'll try to make it short. I agree with both of you. I felt like it was definitely one of the highlights of the show. And I was really excited to see that they're putting these guys on their main roster. And it really does sell NXT because I know you were getting a lot of heat for it, Randy, but I'm in agreement with you that match was better than most of the matches they've been putting on in months. I don't understand why people were giving you heat for that, but to me, that's a pretty damn true statement. These guys, the majority of the NXT roster right now is far better. I mean, look at it this way. Look at the three guys that came over from NXT and have made their names: Ambrose, Rollins, Reigns. They're
Exactly.
the three best guys on the roster. Three of the best guys on the roster, and in my opinion, Ambrose and Rollins are the two best guys right now on the current roster.
I can't disagree.
I mean, Ziggler is definitely a great one too, but I just feel like Ambrose and Rollins have that character too that you can attach yourself to.
They could have definitely thrown Ziggler on the NXT roster and built his character up without immediately pushing him after the Spirit Squad thing. I mean, I know that the NXT wasn't necessarily around back then, but they could have took his character and put more development on it instead of just pushing him to the main roster immediately after the Spirit Squad. I truly do think that if they would have, if the NXT would have been around back then, back whenever Ziggler was Nikki, they could have definitely done a lot more things to develop his character on that. I agree with you on that. That he could have been back in the NXT. That's how I feel, though. That's how I feel.
No,
No,
definitely
you
not a bad
definitely,
statement. I I
yeah, you're
I,
definitely
I
not
can
off.
see where you're coming from.
Yeah, you're definitely not off base with that. But yeah, no, I just felt like putting them on the roster was great. I'm a huge Sami Zayn fan, so I was pretty pumped to see him. I've been following him
Yep.
since he was El Generico in Ring of Honor. Um, I mean, same with all the other guys. I love Adrian Neville. I think he's fantastic. Um, I actually like Tyler Breeze. I don't like his character. I think his character is garbage. But
Oh, I agree.
I
Yeah.
believe it was NXT Takeover, the first one where he fought Sami Zayn. Am I correct on that? I can't remember. It was a while ago, and it was like
Yeah, he fought
an
Sami Zayn.
incredibly awesome match,
Yep.
and that really put him over for me. So Randy and anybody who hasn't seen that match, go YouTube it because it was definitely awesome. And he wasn't a guy that I really saw taking being on the main roster until I saw that match. Um,
Exactly.
but I felt like it was a great spot for those guys. It was really awesome to see. It really made me feel like they care about the future of this business because and I have a feeling that Triple H had something to do with this and said
Yep.
we need to
For
put
sure.
these guys, and they took the four best guys that they have. Um, and Tyson Kidd is amazing in the ring, but he just doesn't have a character that fits him. He struggles on the mic, and it sucks because I want to see him do good. I'm a huge fan of Tyson Kidd, and I want to
Yep.
see him, the last student of the dungeon, um, getting his ass kicked since he was like 8 years old by Stu Hart. So it's just I want to see him do good because of where he comes from and his skill in the ring. But taking your four guys and putting them on Monday Night Raw like that live on network television shows that you have faith in these guys. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a move to the main roster permanently very soon for at least a couple of them. Sami Zayn, I'm hoping comes by soon.
I definitely agree with you there. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with those four guys, in the coming months, see what happens, who debuts first, who gets the big push. It's definitely going to be interesting. Rulebreakers weighing in, Aaron Mason promoting NXT TakeOver whilst giving three guys an amazing debut was a great choice. Kyle, I hope they have more NXT guys on Raw, but they should only have them on Raw to promote an NXT event. Aaron Mason weighing in on Neville's finisher. Neville's finisher is called the Red Arrow. It's the name of one of the Royal Air Force planes here in the UK. And Aaron again, Breeze is the more show-offy version of Ziggler, in my opinion. Don't disagree with that opinion at all. I want to make two bold statements here regarding the NXT guys. One, I believe Kenta will be the next NXT champion because they're really trying to push Kenta as the next big star. So I think Kenta will be the next NXT champion. I don't think Neville's going to drop it at Takeover 2. And my next bold prediction is that Adrian Neville will be the first British-born WWE champion. So, whenever that happens, you heard it here first. Quickly moving on, Jerry Springer segment. Um,
I might as well just go ahead and mute my mic on that one because I don't even want to talk about it.
Brie debuted her new theme this week. Uh, I don't really know what to think of it. It was okay. Nikki came out having the old Bella theme. Nikki kind of had that wild look about her, kind of like she's going crazy. And then it was just the back and forth banter. Nikki blamed Brie for their dad leaving when they were younger. Then their brother JJ came out, and the whole thing just went to hell. The one positive thing I will say about it is that Nikki's acting is far better than Bree's. Definitely in the recent weeks, and definitely last night, Nikki is the stronger actor of the two. It comes out more naturally for her. Bree is always forcing it. So, yeah, that's probably the only positive thing I really saw in that. Jerry Springer getting injured, had a twisted ankle, and I think it was a couple of bruised ribs. I don't really know, but it was kind of a segment to push the feud, Total Divas, whatever, kind of draw people away from Monday Night Football. because unfortunately they couldn't get Michael Sam to appear because he signed with the Dallas Cowboys. So they did that instead. But other than that, I didn't really care for the segment. It was all right. I mean, it was kind of getting into that third hour, and that's where we kind of saw things dip off. I don't know what you guys have to add, so I'll leave the forum open.
Like I said, it just I saw the ad on the show last week for the Jerry Springer thing, and I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. They've stooped to this level to with the Bellas, and it felt like it was it gave me a headache. I actually, at the beginning of the segment, my friend came over and we went and got pizza. I didn't even really even want to pay attention to this segment, man. The Bella Twins segment is getting awful. It has, and like you said, Nikki is the better actress out of the two. I think we've established this every week since the beginning of this segment.
Right.
And didn't if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, haven't the Bellas had a feud in the past with one another? Kind of, right?
So. I can't entirely remember. That was probably when I stopped watching the product for a couple of years because it wasn't good between that 2009 to 2011 period. I guess it might have been around then. That's kind of when I stopped watching personally. But
well,
maybe they did have a feud.
I think it was back whenever John Laurinaitis was trying to run things. Because I remember that they had them split up between Team Teddy and Team Johnny. That one of the Bellas was rooting for one and the other was rooting for the other, and that's I guess that's the reason why I feel like I've seen this before. I'm sick of it. It's the ending segment was terrible, but I mean the Bellas. That just it's like in the same area with the two. I went and got pizza during that segment. I didn't even want to see it because I heard Jerry Springer's theme song, and his theme song was awesome. Don't get me wrong, his theme song's better than Cesaro's, but I mean. It just I heard that theme song and I was like, I gotta get out of here. This is not gonna happen. I'm not gonna sit here this entire 20 minutes and watch this crap. So I didn't even watch that segment. And then after that we had the Gold Dust Brothers or the Gold Dust and Stardust after that, but we'll get into that in a minute. But I don't even want to talk about that. It was garbage. Every single time I see the Bella Twins here lately, it's I don't even want to pay attention to it. It's garbage.
I definitely don't disagree with you there. Matt, you got any quick thoughts to add to that?
Yeah, I didn't really care for the segment. I think my issue with the whole Bella feud is, I said from the beginning that I don't think this is a terrible feud, but when they're pushing it as the main feud in the Divas division, when these two girls clearly aren't ready for that, that's when you run into an issue. Because it's not, they don't have the ability right now to really carry. When you're the main feud on the Divas roster, everybody else follows behind you. They don't have the ability right now to do that. Paige and AJ, like I said earlier, needs to be in the forefront, and these two, last week's Raw, they had every 5 minutes they were doing a bringing up Bella or whatever the hell the segment was called. Segments every 5 minutes. And it really took away from every other Divas match, and it was just unnecessary. It's not a match that should be booked as a main event Divas match because they're not that skilled yet. The segment, from the get-go, as Randy said, I wasn't feeling it when I saw he was going to be there. I'm like, oh my God, they're doing this shit. This is ridiculous. I know Aussie was quick to kind of give it he was going to give it a chance. I don't know how he felt about the segment, but I know, I was like, all right, I'll give it a chance too, and I did, and it sucked.
Steve Wilkos would have been a better host for that.
Yeah.
I just feel like it was unnecessary. I don't think that the feud has enough steam to warrant having something like this happen. Nobody, as you can see, people were just kind of not into it. Nobody cared. The only time people kind of got a little interested is when she said, when Nikki said that Brie was the reason their father left.
Yep.
I even got a little
I didn't
bit,
even see that.
for me, that was kind of like, I was like, whoa. I even said that out loud. I was like, okay, whoa. Um, so for me, that was really the only part of that entire segment. They had their brother. Do you know if that was actually their brother or not? Or was that
Yeah,
just
that
some,
that that was their actual brother. That was JJ.
okay.
That whenever I heard about that, it reminded me of Paris Hilton's brother. I don't even know what's his name.
I have
Like,
no idea.
I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff, but that's what it made me think of. I saw it on I think it was the Spotlight. They had a picture of JJ on there, and then that they showed their mother
Yep. Yep.
on the Tron, and everybody was like, their mother cuts a better promo than them, and I was like, ouch,
Yeah,
and she's not even in the WWE, and I was like, that's hilarious.
that's true. That's another thing that I wanted to point out. That's exactly what I was thinking of. I was like, holy shit, she's better than her kids. I mean, she
Mhm.
wasn't by any stretch of the imagination good. But the fact that she stuck and was still better than her kids tells you something. And they're in like a main feud right now, which is ridiculous. The feud itself on paper looks great. I would love to see this, but I just don't think they're ready, to be thrust into the main event spotlight just yet. So
I
that's my
definitely
big
agree.
gripe with this storyline. And I think it's kind of a wasted storyline for that reason. If they had waited and worked on their mic abilities a little bit more, put them in some mid card matches first, and then blow out this feud when they're ready, I think that'd have been a better use. And this segment just kind of put all their all of those issues kind of in a bigger spotlight, and people just weren't into it. Oh, I think it was a waste.
I
I
agree.
definitely,
I
I
definitely agree
can
with
agree.
you. I agree.
We had Aaron Mason weighing in, saying he's not too familiar with Jerry Springer. Jerry Springer's a TV personality over here in America, and he has a show that's on, early in the mornings, and it kind of, I guess, deals with family problems, but it's more of this girl cheated on this guy, and this guy cheated on that girl, and
Exactly.
it's all mindless drama for mindless Americans who want cheap entertainment,
It's
and
white trash crap, man.
that's
That's all it is. It's white trash crap.
that's really what it is. And I quickly want to jump to our main event here. So after that, we had Goldust and Stardust event against the Los Matadores being attacked by the Usos, kind of trying to build that feud. Whatever. Didn't really care for that. Then we had the Joan Rivers tribute. Joan Rivers passed away last week. She was a guest ring announcer at WrestleMania 2, comedian, fashion critic, whatever. They did that small tribute to her. Then you had the Adam Rose versus Titus O'Neil.
Or Amanda Rose, as I like to call him.
Yeah, you had that match very quickly, and recently that was reported earlier today. There's talk of WWE bringing in Darren Young to be the bunny, and then have that big reveal of Darren Young's return, and then continuing the feud between Titus O'Neil and Darren Young. And that brings us to our main event of Reigns versus Randy Orton. Not a bad match. I can't say it was better than their SummerSlam match. I can't say it was worse. Um, and then you had Rollins and Kane come in towards the end and interfere, and they
That is
had
what
them.
ruined it.
You had them bring the cage down, and Seth Rollins almost impaled himself on the cage. Luckily, the production crew saved him from that fate. And then Reigns got the holy hell beat out of him. And being a Roman Reigns guy, I have to say I liked it. And here's why. Because they've been building Reigns as this big, powerhouse wrestler, this big unstoppable force. He's taking on this guy and that guy. He's beating everybody left and right. He beat Evolution, he beat Batista, he beat Kane. He's beating everybody. And they're really trying to build him up as the next top guy. And I think putting him in a position where he gets RKO'd and he gets chokeslammed and then he gets the curb stomp, as they're calling it now, formerly known as the Blackout, which is a far better name than the curb stomp because he's not getting stomped on a curb. Cole. But I think it was a good idea on WWE's part to kind of break him down a little bit and say Reigns isn't this unstoppable force that he may seem to be, so it will help towards his build at WrestleMania 31 where he's rumored to win the title. Not entirely sure I agree with that anymore either after that promo right before the match, and I know we kind of went on about this last week, how his promos aren't that great, and he doesn't have a good cadence when he speaks in a promo, and I guess the other thing that irks me is he's still holding on to being that Shield entity for whatever reason. He still comes out with the vest, with the, I don't know, Jeff Hardy's pants that were in his closet from 2008. As Aussie refers to it, the Kids Bop version of the theme song. And that's really what's killing it for me is that Rollins has moved on, has a new theme, no longer wears the Shield gear. He kind of looks like a futuristic crime fighter. You have Dean Ambrose, who's moved on, and he's got a new theme. Kind of got the lunatic gimmick going on with the wife beater and the leather jacket and the jeans. It's a good look for him. It fits his character. And then you have Reigns, who is just the Shield by himself. It needs to change in order for Reigns to move on and continue with the development of his character. So I agree with them, beating the hell out of him. Sure, the interference maybe wasn't the greatest thing, but I agree with it happening. So we'll see what happens next week when they build that final moment between Rollins and Reigns before their match at Night of Champions, where we could see Dean Ambrose interfere because the filming of his movie Lockdown finishes up on the 20th, and as you know, Night of Champions is the 21st, so we could see Dean Ambrose return, and it's going to be interesting. Matt, what are your thoughts on that final 20 minutes of Raw?
Well, first things first, I just want to point out I did a little bit of research while you guys were talking to help our guy Aaron Mason out, and anybody who's a rope breaker who's from the UK who doesn't know who Jerry Springer is or who isn't familiar. I did a little research. Jerry Springer would be our equivalent to your guys' Jeremy Kyle, who I read does the same stuff. So if you know who Jeremy Kyle is, then you know who Jerry Springer is. They do the same type of show. It's just like that. With that being said, the main event actually didn't mind it too much. The match wasn't terrible. I didn't think it was a bad match. I thought I got his point across. I liked the use of the cage at the end. So it wasn't like they finished the first cage match and then it's just there for the rest of the show and they're not using it again. I like that they reused it again to their advantage. I like Roman Reigns being taken out, although I don't like Roman Reigns. First and foremost, the hell is Kane doing there? He does nothing to the fucking segment. I'm so lost with why he's even employed. Go do your shitty See No Evil 3, 4, 5, and 6. Get out of here. I mean, he did nothing to further the storyline. I feel like I almost felt when I saw them all standing over Roman Reigns like they're rebuilding the authority with Corporate Kane. Oh, I hate that they call him that. Randy Orton and Seth Rollins. Now, my issue with this, I have a couple issues with this. For one, the fact that they all beat down Roman Reigns like that, and Seth Rollins was the one to finish him off, I feel almost hurts Rollins because they're obviously going into Night of Champions to fight one another, and it's pretty much almost if they're going to do it the way I think they are, almost guarantees a victory for Roman Reigns.
Yeah, definitely.
And in that sense, that really hurts Seth Rollins because since he's gotten the title, since he's gotten his big push, he's really gone nowhere. He's been booked. He's becoming Randy Orton 2.0, and what I mean by that is he's, Triple H's lapdog. He's kind of that weak heel that always needs help, never can win anything on his own, and he hasn't won anything by himself since he's been Money in the Bank, since he won the Money in the Bank briefcase. And when he goes in Night of Champions and loses to Reigns, where does that leave him? At that point, all he has holding on to is his briefcase, and I just feel like that's not enough. And I think it's really going to hurt him. I think this match is interesting in the fact that we're both in the Shield, but I just don't see it benefiting either one of them.
Right.
I think this is a bad build at this point. I don't think you should ever put two guys you're building, two guys you're trying to build at the same time together in a match. To me, that's bad booking and doesn't make any sense because one of them has to lose.
Yeah. I agree.
And normally wouldn't be bad booking, but the way that WWE handles things is, they put these two guys together, one of them loses, and then they don't follow through on trying to rebuild him back up a little bit more again so that it doesn't completely damage him.
Right, yeah.
I'm just afraid that they're going to just drop the ball with him, because that's how they do things over there. But there are plenty of other, opponents that Roman Reigns could have fought that would have been able to save, because as of right now, there has to be some sort of false finish, and that's how all these matches go.
I think Dean Ambrose interferes, and that's how Reigns picks up the win. That breaks off Reigns to, say, okay, I beat Rollins, I beat Orton. Now it's time for me to go after Triple H, and then that way Ambrose and Rollins can continue their feud separately from that.
That's true. That's the only thing that I could see happening too. I just didn't know if he's going to be done with his. I don't know if he mentioned it. He probably did. Whether or not he's going to be done with his movie. I was too busy researching the Jerry Springer thing for Aaron Mason. Helped those guys overseas out who didn't know who he was. So I must have missed that. But if he does come back, yeah, that's the only opportunity. That's the only thing that makes sense. But going on Reigns, his promo wasn't that good. It was the same old garbage. He's got the venom, but I got the antidote. Like, yeah,
like I said, it's not good.
Like, yeah, it's just lame. And I completely agree with you. He needs to break away from the Shield. Completely.
All right, definitely a strong statement there from Matt, the resident rambler, resident traditionalist here at Rope Break. Randy, your thoughts on that final segment on Raw?
Well, it's like you guys said. I do like the fact that they brought the steel cage back in on it. That it was like I was explaining to my friend. I enjoyed the hell out of that last segment up until Kane and Seth Rollins came out. I was like, "Are you serious? You've got to be kidding me!" I was face palming. I was like, "I'm about to change the channel." Yeah, throwing Kane in that mix is horrible. It's like Matt said, he should just go back to filming See No Evil up until he gets so sick of it. The fact that they threw Kane in there was really, really not. It didn't help the situation. Having Rollins have the final word or move, if you want to call it, really didn't help the Orton and Reigns feud. The only thing that I have to say about that is if they really want to try to get Seth Rollins over, then they need to throw him in a feud with somebody else until Ambrose comes back. They might be done with the Ambrose Rollins angle, but I really hope that they aren't, because they really haven't had a chance to shine with one another without the Authority or Corporate Kane or whoever from that group of people like Orton and stuff like that. They really shouldn't bother with that other than just letting those two shine for the moment. Um, the the impalement, then almost impalement from the spike from the steel cage, that honestly did scare me a bit, because I was like, oh man, because it was really, really close. He got really, really close to it, and I mean, I really didn't see the point in throwing Kane and Seth Rollins in at the last minute. I saw Seth Rollins on, and I was like, the Brock Lesnar's not out there. Why is he coming out? You know, who's he gonna cash in on? Is he gonna cash in on to get maybe get the Jeff Hardy gear off of Reigns? Is that what's going on? Uh, but I mean, other than that, I really don't have a whole lot to say about it. The last segment was really good up until Kane and Rollins came out. Then it was holding a solid B until they came out, and then it dropped down to a C minus in my opinion, because it was, like I said, the Bella segment was way better than that. But I mean, other than that, it was I'm sick of seeing Corporate Kane come out. I'm sick of hearing that name. I'm sick of seeing him wearing the suit. If he came back out with a mask next week, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, because I understand that he took the mask off maybe to help promote See No Evil 2.
All right, that's
But
why he did it.
I mean, it's the Kane's new getup with the I guess you could say it looks like he's wearing a tie with the stitching and stuff on his new gear. I hate it. I hate the new mask. I liked it better whenever he had that welder mask on. That thing was awesome looking. If they would have had him, come out with like a custom mask on like that, it would have been so much better than the crappy red black paint that they threw on a face shield, I guess you could say. I mean, other than that, Kane is falling off the charts in my opinion. He went from being a complete total badass with the Undertaker to being the corporate screw job. But that's how I feel about it. What do you guys think about what I just said? I mean, seriously.
Definitely a very strong statement from you. And I know Matt is not a fan of Kane's new mask, new gear at all. I know he likes the old mask for sure, the old gear. And I have to agree. I mean, I understand Kane stopped wearing the old mask because it was hard to breathe in that mask, as he stated before. But they could always find a way around it now if they really wanted to. But it was an alright closing segment for sure, and pretty strong that you gave it a C minus after giving it a B almost the whole show. And that segues into kind of our closing thoughts here on the show. And Matt, I'll jump to you. Your letter grade for the Monday Night Raw.
Well, I don't agree with Randy on a C. I don't think that segment was all that bad, and the only thing about the segment that I didn't like was that Kane was out there. Because for me, Seth Rollins being out there makes sense. They're building up to this feud with Reigns. They're trying to build these guys well, and I don't care for the feud itself right now. I don't think either one of them are at a point where this feud can benefit anybody. This is what they're doing. This is what we have to look at for Night of Champions. So we have to build this. How do we build it? We got to throw Seth Rollins in there somewhere. If Seth Rollins didn't show up at all the entire night, it's almost, you would kind of forget that this feud was ever even happening. So I think it was necessary to have Rollins out there to attack him the way that he did. Although I don't care for the, constantly getting help to beat his enemies. I think that makes him look bad.
Right.
Kane being out there definitely made the segment kind of like, are you shitting me? This stupid suit. It looks terrible in. And I'm with you on that. I hate the mask that he has too. I think it looks like garbage. He just needs to. I think he's just garbage. He needs to stop. He's not where he was anymore. He needs to just go away.
All right.
That being said, my letter grade. I thought it was actually very solid Raw all the way through,
Oh, yeah,
up until
absolutely.
the last hour. I thought most of
Absolutely.
the third hour was kind of a lot of filler, and I didn't appreciate the if it was an old format of Monday Night Raw where they did the 2 hours, then this show would get an easy A+ for me. If they had all the first 2 hours plus that main event added on to the first 2 hours, this would have an easy A+ for me.
Right.
Because it felt like an old school Attitude Era-esque Raw. Um, but I thought that third hour kind of made it go downhill a little bit. Um, so with that third hour, because all the filler matches were kind of thrown into 1 hour instead of kind of placed around to make it more breathable, um, I'm gonna give it a B.
All right. I definitely agree with you there. I definitely agree with what you're saying. I'm going to give it a B as well, basically because of what you said. If it was a 2 hour Raw plus that main event, it would have been definitely a solid A plus because it was a solid show almost all the way through. But because they did chuck those filler matches in that third hour, it definitely lost value at that point. So I will give it a B as well. And that brings us to the close of our review of Raw. Uh, so time to do a little promoting here. You guys can always catch us here on YouTube on React After Raw. It's on every Monday night after immediately following Raw. You can catch us on our Facebook page, Rope Break Wrestling. You can catch us on Twitter at Rope Break Wrestling. Always look that up. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to this page. Look out for the sharpshoot this week, either on Wednesday or Thursday. That'll be out. Always out. Aussie always does a good job getting you guys a very entertaining show. Um, I know Matt and Randy have some shows in the works. Matt diligently working on Before the Bell, kind of building up to its debut. When that happens, you guys won't be disappointed. Randy eventually going to get work on his own show. Currently, the working title is, I believe, Mid Card Monday. So, guys, look out for that. Um, you guys can always go to RopeBreakWrestling.com where we give you the latest WWE news and rumors throughout the day and throughout the week, and we always here for you because we're for the fans, by the fans. Uh, so that is it. You guys have anything else to add before I close it out here?
I've
I just
said
want to
basically all I've got to say.
All right.
Well, I just want to make sure that everybody is aware that if you have liked, shared, subscribed this, if you have liked us on Facebook, if you're following us on Twitter, and you haven't mentioned us to your friends yet, then you're a terrible friend. I have to say that every time because I want to make sure it's sinking in. If you got friends that don't know about this website and they are diehard wrestling fans and you're keeping it from them, that's just ridiculous. You're a garbage friend. Share the wealth. Come on, bring them into the rope break lifestyle. Get them out of the bleachers. Get them away from cage side because, cage side is okay. Bleachers is fine. But you're not going to get any better than in the ring with rope break.
Definitely. And speaking of friends, you can check out our partners over at Talk and Wrestling Network. They have a lot of good stuff over there. They have Around the Point, the Open Turnbuckle with B. Rotten, who has written an article for us, which is featured on RopeBreakWrestling.com right now about why Batista and Brock Lesnar needs to happen. Go check it out. It's a very good read. You will not be disappointed. So always support our friends over at Talking Wrestling Network. And as Matt said, if you're not talking about Rope Break, you're not sharing it with your friends, you're not a good friend. So for everyone here at Rope Break, that's Matt, that's Randy. Aussie couldn't be here, but he sends his wishes. You'll see him this week on the Sharpshoot. I'm Alec, and this has been React After Raw. And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you. Rope break.
Rope break.
Rope break.
Enjoy the rest of your evening, everybody. Good night.